whatever it is, this one came as a surprise for me. $50,984 XRP, and that really is a damn surprise. And in this one, it reads that this asset hit its all-time highs on September 17th, and that all-time high itself is $50,984. If that really did happen, even for a second, that's going to be a oh god moment for majority of us as XRP investors. But if you are what we talk about as an investor with that psychology, you can realize the best opportunity. So the best thing is to be prepared and to be updated about how whales are moving this market, because it really is mouth-watering when you look at charts and setup as a trader and guys looking for best area to buy. This really is interesting because now we are entering to a world which will cooperate with each other on regulating the financial markets, and digital assets is one among the critical issues in that financial market and the concerns. So that is going to be a huge change on which we will be looking at. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Guys, if you saw value for your time, please do support the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Now, if you would like to extend your support for the research executed in this channel, please use that Patreon, PayPal or XRP wallet address given in the description below. Now, don't decide that now. After watching the video, if you do get value, then think about that. Now, Patreon group will actually allow you to get through different charts, setups and all, which I don't present here because this is an XRP related channel. We do research for XRP, but majority of you guys have different assets in your portfolio. Now, if you would like to get charts, setups, discussion, and get more information after the brainstorming between different individuals, then you can use the Patreon. That will actually give you more value for your portfolio. It will show you what should be the risk tolerance, where should be the best buy, or what should be you looking at if you are looking to accumulate based on the current trend and all. So now let's jump into a Bank of International Settlement document which shows XRP as a game changer. Now, yes, I agree, the questions will actually come about this, but yeah, we will come into that to get clarity for that one, to understand why the hell should XRP go towards that much huge market value. You need to get this information first. Guys, when we go through this particular article, be focused, stay focused. If you are having anything other, please keep that aside for a couple of moments, because this is going to be so interesting that they are going to give you a shock. Meaning, if you go say this, I'll put the link in the description below and you can actually go through this one. Now, if we directly jump into page number 6, what you can see is the taxonomy of money. Now, previously, say when their first report came, it was there, but small additions are there, right? So now when you look, you have wholesale CBDC and retail CBDC in central bank issued sector, but still you have a hell lot of bigger settlement or reserve accounts. Consider that as giant in that particular central bank issued arena, bigger than the CBDC of wholesale and retail. Then you have cryptocurrency here, then cryptocurrency wholesale here, then the local currency. Now, what you have to understand is the bank deposit and the money is just screwed, small percentage, and the virtual currency is more. Understand, you have virtual currency separately mentioned, cryptocurrency separately mentioned. Now, how can it be clarified? Just move into the next page, page number 7. That shows this one. Reserves, central bank reserves they're talking about here. And then for peer-to-peer, you can see utility settlement coin, Bitcoin, Fedcoin, Cadcoin, different initiatives. Now, Cadcoin is, the Canadian payment actually worked with that. Now, while we go through in detail about the document, I'll talk about that too. Now, when you look at this particular arena, you don't see XRP there, right? You can just see the common theme, which is the settlement between all of these different ledgers, has to be done in this taxonomy of new financial system of money, right? Now, how to actually understand what really is happening? Now, say for example, you have CAD coin, right? So if you look at CAD coin as an example of wholesale central bank digital currency, which is from Canadian bank, and Bank of Canada did a proof of work of DLT. We know with whom they did that, right? And at the bottom they shows you they executed that with Payments Canada. Now we already went through Payments Canada website report previously, right? I won't go into that too, but here it gives direct information. It used R3, a fintech firm, and several Canadian banks, but has not been put into practice yet. That has to be understood because the regulatory clarity is still keeping these just at the edge of that cliff. Once that comes and hit the market like this, US working with EU and others, so the American side, European side, everyone will come in and start that one. Until that time, it will be a bit slow, that's for sure. But if you look at this, you can understand, the precious metal coins here, Bitcoin itself highlighted here, and different projects like that. But when you look at the universally accessible items, there are a lot more to be added in that. And then the central bank issues of reserves. Now, why would I say we have much more to come? Go back to page number 3 and look at the new form of central bank money. Now, what we just looked at here, to be clear, is taxonomy of new money, right? So in that taxonomy of money, we are talking about new form of central bank digital currency. Now, again, stay really focused here because this is going to be interesting, because they are going to talk about an intermediary which can execute these payments instantly. Now, when we all say that, you should be clear that it's going to happen. Now, we'll read. Cryptocurrencies utilize DLT to allow remote peer-to-peer transfer of electronic value in absence of trust between contracting parties. Usually, electronic representations of money, such as bank notes, are exchanged via centralized infrastructures, where a trusted intermediary clears and settles transaction. So they are looking at DLT. Now they already understand how it works. Previously, peer-to-peer exchange was restricted to physical form of money. Now, when we talk about next step, what you really have to understand is in the new era, it's not only about being an intermediary, right? Here it clearly shows the previous centralized system was like this and the distributed system is like this. So in that system, you have an intermediary at the end to do that payments, to execute that. Now, when we actually look at the central bank digital currency area, we do have their reserves, we do have the cryptocurrencies. They're not taking out the cryptocurrency or virtual currency out of it. Now, why they differentiate between cryptocurrency and virtual currency? Now, we just saw about an intermediary at the top, right? So here you are seeing virtual currency and cryptocurrencies. Now, if we jump into page number 13 of this document, you reach here. Now, just to give you a background, here it's talking about wholesale central bank cryptocurrencies, how they worked, previous pilot projects, what they achieved and all. And at the final area of that part, they're talking about yet most central banks that are considering modernizing their core payment infrastructure stress the need to make new systems interoperable with future DLT platforms. If they are entering into ILP, everything is solved. Now, when you look at security settlement, you do understand that the digital coins of, let it be virtual currency, let it be any other system, but looking at clearing and settlement, you have one distributed ledger technology, a network which is efficiently doing this. Now, they haven't named Ripple and XRP, but if we go back into that previous page number 6 and 7, in that they have clearly given you the idea of R3. And now, if you look at their pilot program, Bank of Canada's pilot with DLT proof, and then Payments Canada and R3, it kind of gives you a clear idea that it's Ripple and XRP because they have named it previously. Now, I'm not highlighting that here because I've already done that in the previous video. It will consume additional time too. If you look at this one, securities aspect, settlement aspect, and read this potential for DLT to increase efficiency and reduce reconciliation cost in securities clearing and settlement. Now, why is it so important? This information, why is it so important when we look at huge market and huge values like this $50,000 XRP? Because when we look at such a huge value, there would be guys coming out and stating, whoa, hold on a second. That means the market cap should be ballooned like this. First of all, market cap which you see in majority of the exchanges are only looking at the total supply. Whereas if you look at the actual circulating supply, it is much less than that. And if you look at the real supply in the market, which is being traded, based on which the supply demand practice works, it would be much lower. Say there would be whales holding their positions, you and me and hell lot of others. So the demand is still there and it's rising as per Ripple's report. We can understand that, but the supply is not increasing in such a manner. Now, yes, you can argue that the escrow is putting out supply, but they are putting that back into the escrow contract. You have to understand that based on the initial contract, yes, they are putting it out, but they are taking it back and reallocating back into the escrow accounts. So that has to be understood. Now, if you look at the market value, look at total volume of foreign currency transactions in 2010. Now, yes, this is 10 years back, but still, if you look at, it's actually supported by figures from BIS and all. So that's why when we talk about the BIS report here and a huge market value, it really is huge market value, because off exchange trading of financial derivatives is $600 trillion. The giant market is the foreign currency transaction, in which derivatives market itself is 600 trillion market. Now, if you just look at other side of investing and all, you kind of get to see shares, bonds, 87 trillion. Next is full comparison, 63 trillion of values of gross domestic products. Now, why it is so important for foreign currency transactions, 955 trillion, and looking at huge values of XRP? Because when they talk directly about being interoperable, and you need an intermediary while processing all of these stuff, and directly just look at the taxonomy in which they are plotting this. Wherever you are, you would be coming into the central bank's area to settle those transactions, because central banks would be the authority. Now, previously in central bank digital currency documents from BIS itself, which is being considered as the central bank of central banks, they put out that it's better for central banks to have a trusted partner, an intermediary, a third party, to execute those settlements, so that the central banks or governments are not directly dealing with the information or the data of common man. And in that aspect, you can see settlement or reserve accounts. Think if these reserve accounts are going to be the bridge asset which they need to execute this payment, or if it is going to be a virtual currency which they would be using for settlements, right? But clearly stated here, it's settlement or reserve accounts. So it should be central banks holding this. Now, if you look at the escrow system and how the XRP supply is moving, for me personally, when I think about it, it's like, yes, there is no pre-allocation theory. They denied it, 100% sure that's accurate, clear. But it doesn't actually say that in future it can't be, right? It's not pre-allocated. It's not allocated as of now. But what if in future central banks are saying, yes, we have settlement account and we consider this as a bridge currency, and we are going to put out our own coins. Say, for example, here it shows Fed coin. So Fed is coming up with their coin. Canadian government is coming up with their dollar. E-krona. So, different governments are coming up with that approach. And if this has to be a neutral item for settlements, this is going to be huge, because on the reserve side, you understood that the third party asset which will be used, the digital asset, for the bridging purpose, it would be based on the reserves or the liabilities and the books of central banks. And what does that really mean? Because the books of central bank is actually huge. Now, due to the current health issue, due to the pandemic, they have actually, ballooned there by printing. Now, to hold this market together, because otherwise it is going to burst, that's for sure. It's a huge bull run now from last 10 years, and it's going to burst. And in many economies, it's bursting. So if the Fed and other central banks even slow down their printing machines, it's going to, ruin the entire economy. And that's where we understand that investors are more interested in blockchain and the assets in that blockchain. And that's when we understand that, digital wallet is being prepared, and Homeland Security calls on freelancers to design a digital wallet interface. Wow. Because they understand that this is the future. And in this document, when we look at it, it's clear that it's for the future DLT platforms. Now, if you are looking at a future DLT platform, you should be having the best intermediary, so that at least in the next 10 years, 20 years, whatever comes, you can be interoperable with all of those systems, right? And that is when we understand that, say, this is from a bank and their way of marketing looks really cool. Think, these are banking institutions coming out like these, and that's really cool. The financial institutions are putting out items like this is really interesting. And as we all know that the instant payments is where all of this leads us back into, let it be any other transaction, settling those transactions instantaneously is the key part of that. Instant payment market, incredible possibilities, growth analysis and forecast. So what they are looking at is different items like a Blue Cash Bank, Danske Bank, Ripple, OCBC, Vola Link, and other stuffs. So these are reports regarding the payments industry. And Ripple is there. Why Ripple is there? Because it has a name among others. If you look at, you can see Swift, you can see PayPal, you can see other giants in the market, but still Ripple being placed at the top of these really says a lot of things. You really have to understand now the hierarchy is changing. If you look at the food chain in that aspect, here Ripple is climbing to the top, and once ILP is being accepted by majority of the institutions, Ripple would be at the top of this food chain of money. We can actually say that the money chain, in that aspect, Ripple would be at the top. And that's when these kind of articles really gives you that idea about why Ripple might be the future of digital payments. Because combining that with what we just read in the central bank digital Bank of International Settlement document and central bank digital currency schemes, you can really understand they are talking about movement of value, right? It may seem natural to define CBDCs by adopting CPMI's definition to say they are electronic central bank liabilities. They can be used for payments, right? But this ignores an important feature of other forms of central bank money, namely accessibility. So that's cool. Now, one form of central bank money is cash, blah, 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 while central bank settlement accounts are typically available only to a limited set of entities. You have to understand that's how it works now. So once this is going to be enhanced, central banks has to limit their ability so that the corporate and other banks, private banks, won't go bankrupt, right? They have to be in this taxonomy. Otherwise, it's just like killing the banks, right? So in that aspect, when we look at the payments itself, you are getting a neutral guy, a neutral guy with a neutral network where you can't do anything in XRP ledger unless you have the majority of validators working on. So that kind of stuff gives you the clarity that it's going to happen instantly. And what are the markets we concentrating on? It's peer-to-peer, business to customer, it's every type of payment. And that is where Ripple becomes that standard. And that is how Ripple is the future of digital payments. And when we look all of these fundamentals, we are not actually surprised. Yeah, we can't say we are not actually surprised, but we won't actually be surprised to see such a huge value in the future. But at present, when I see these values, Yeah, I really was surprised, but I don't think it's actually happening in all the exchanges, because I'm someone who follow the price on a daily basis, at least 2 or 3 times, looking at the charts, fluctuation, the patterns, to understand what really is happening, right? To give my Patreon guys a edge over others if they are trading, what to expect, where to enter, where to exit, what to target and all. So I don't think that we actually miss that, but it actually really shows in one exchange it hit that price. Now I can argue this for sure that in exchanges it differs, the values are completely different. In one exchange if it hits, but usually it's like 5 to 10% difference. The premium should be like that in different exchanges, not like $50,000. Now it really happened in that. If it really happened in that exchange, wow, for the guys who were in that exchange and who set their take profits at least like last all-time high or 10 times of last all-time high, wow, they are lucky. Now before wrapping up, it's really interesting. I mean, the charts are really interesting. I won't be actually going through all the different currencies which we discuss in the Patreon group, but along with XRP today, I would also like to show altcoin market cap chart and Bitcoin chart. Both of them would be in weekly, and then Ethereum on a daily. Why? Because the fluctuations happening in Ethereum kind of have some kind of correlation with what it happens with XRP. So a monthly chart of XRP shows this. What? The stochastic RSI is entering into an overbought region when the MACD is just crossing to the upside, which is a positive sign. Now, when did this previously happen and what the price did at that time, right? If you look at that, this will be the point where XRP is now, but the price hasn't actually reached there, whereas the indicator reached there, here, stochastic RSI, but the MACD crossed here. So based on MACD, we're still here, we haven't actually started that one, right? So if we combine all of those and look at that, it really is a huge opportunity. Now, if you are just looking at a smaller time frame charts, you would be missing this aspect because you are looking at a huge red candle on a monthly. So in that aspect, you are not actually watching this. We were having this as a previous resistance, but now we went above, crossed it, closed above that. Now that's 1, 2 and 3. So this month, if we are closing above this particular range, that is still like bullish. We went up, corrected back, and then boom, it should be something like that on a monthly. Now when we look at the altcoin market cap, you should understand this was a long-term resistance. Now we broke above that, we are staying above that, we are bouncing at that level. That really is important to understand when Bitcoin is also showing similar trend along with the altcoin. It did have this area 10,000 to 12,000 as a resistance. Now it just broke above that area, reached 12,000. So 10,000 to 11,000 was resistance. Now it's coming back, retesting that area and bouncing from that level, which really is interesting. Because if you look at Bitcoin charts, you can understand MACD used to bounce once, twice, and third time that used to be boom, huge price fluctuations in that market. Similarly, if you look at Ethereum, this is what you actually see. The MACD is crossing to the upside on a daily. At the same time, you are getting the stochastic RSI reaching overbought zone, indicating momentum towards the buying zone is increasing. And the price is bouncing off accumulation zone. After the accumulation, it went up, it was retesting that zone. Now it's bouncing, and that's really huge when we look at this particular support holding the market and pushing it to the higher side. Now, the previous high was around 470 in this fluctuation. So if we are breaking that, we should be traveling towards $600 to $800 Ethereum. So that's kind of doubling the price in just 1 or 2 months. Wow. And when that happens, do expect that XRP is also going to reflect those market movements. So guys, I believe you received value for your time, and if you did, please do support the channel, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And if you would like to support the channel, the research executed here, you can use Patreon, PayPal, or the XRP wallet address given in the description below to support the channel. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.